This is my favorite drift week.
Really?
Officially, yeah.
Hey guys, I have here with me one of the Drift Week veterans. It's Fielding Shredder, who's done Drift Week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you believe we're on 6? This is so crazy. I want to ask him about the differences between all of them, because I'm sure you always hear people like, oh, 1 was the best, or 2 is the best. Or it's normally people say their first one's the best, if you noticed. And I'm like, you're retarded. I can't say that. You're an
idiot.
Dumb. Yeah. So anyways, I want to ask him about that. I want to ask him about what it's like to drive the S14, the 350Z. What was like to be on like Drift Week 1, where you're kind of overshadowed by everybody and you're kind of lonely? Not lonely, but like, you know, like you weren't in the pack of like the boys, like as a veteran, like we were talking about earlier. Now he's just like on fire out there in tandem the whole time, driving around like a madman with like so much confidence and everything. You are a way better driver than you were on Drift Week 1, do you agree?
Yeah, I've gotten better.
So tell me about all this stuff. Tell me about what's different on the Drift Weeks, what you like, what you don't like, how each one is different, how it's different in all those different ways. Go. Okay. It's all you. I should just get up and leave. I'll drink tea.
I would say starting with Drift Week 1, it was new, it was unknown, it was really, you know, exciting.
Scary.
And scary for sure. All of us were underprepared for that. I think that was a big factor. You know, I was in my S14. I did what I thought would be good for Drift Week, but I had no idea. And then promptly after Harris Hill, I was miserable. You know, we drove straight from Harris Hill to, what was it, New Mexico,
I'd never seen
Albuquerque.
my car before the trip.
Yeah, it was Albuquerque. So it took me 19, almost 20 hours. I was freezing. I had fuel pump issues. I had no heat. The cold air was just blasting through the firewall. I was wearing multiple socks, my boots, 3 pairs of pants, 4 jackets, like completely shivering. You know, it was a nightmare. So not only that, the car was unreliable. It had a diff that was going out, so it was making a horrendous noise. And then as soon as I got to the track, it broke. So there was a lot more wrenching. You know, there was a lot of unknown, a lot of things that we were learning and figuring out for sure. And then, you know, the tracks I had never been to either. So that was a big one. I was learning new tracks, and we were having to do it in one day oftentimes to figure it out and get out there and do well and not crash, and, you know, figure out the line and figure out the tandem and all that stuff. So it was definitely a huge learning curve. I really enjoyed the vibe. I thought the group we had was great. You know, we had Luke, we had Adam, we had you and Brandon, and a bunch of, you know, really cool drivers that I think we got along fantastic. So it was nice to get all of the Drift Weekers in one Airbnb, which we did a couple times. Really cool. Enjoyed that. You know, we were all parked out front. There were no trailers at all. Not one person had a trailer. I guess Chelsea had a trailer, but he wasn't using it, but he ended up needing it for XL. Anyway, it was not trailer week. It was proper Drift Week, and we got to see some beautiful scenes. I got to drive my car from Texas to the coast in California and take a picture of my car on the beach. Like, that was super cool to say I drove it all the way over here. And it was, you know, right when COVID started, so there was no traffic, there was no cops, there was no anything to worry about. It was awesome.
And of course, Drift Week has the best sponsors such as BC Racing Custom Coilovers, Vape Tasia, Heatwave Visual, NK Wheels, WhatMonstersDo.com. Use the discount code EPISOD. And of course, ECU Master for building the James Dean car and coming on this trip with us. Thank you, everyone.
Drift Week 2, I was more miserable because it was a much longer drive. And I was like, you know, I'm going to fix all this stuff. I didn't have a phone holder, for example, in Drift Week 1. Then I, you know, got smart and put one on for Drift Week 2. I had more USB outlets in the car. I had a little bit more spares. I had a little bit more reliable setup. And so that went better, but then on the very first day I got crashed into and like wiped out the rear end of my car. So I had to drive from Texas to Musselman in Arizona. It was Tucson, Arizona, right? So that was...
On Drift Week 1?
Drift Week 2. That was the first stop.
Drift Week 2 went the other direction. It started at Hunter Musselman and went back.
Exactly.
That's our favorite track on this trip.
Yeah, so that was a long drive both ways. Had to zip back home, fix my car really quick, which I did, and then press on to Speed Sports, and then we went from there to NOLA. NOLA is still one of my favorite tracks of all time. I'm so sad I don't get to drive there anymore, but that was an unbelievable time. Super, super good tandem, incredible tire wear, and just a fun time for sure. And then The roads, though, in Louisiana were horrible, so getting there was bad. And then getting from there, we went to Mid Pond, right? Had a great time at Mid Pond. That was my first time at Mid Pond. So first time at NOLA, first time at Mid Pond. Then we went from there to, what track did we go to after that?
Freedom
It wasn't
Factory?
to Freedom Factory. I thought there was another stop in between.
We came back to the Emerald Coast for Clutch Kickers.
For Clutch
track.
Kickers. Okay, so I guess we did go.
There was another track though?
Well, we did Muscleman, we did Speed Sports, we did NOLA, we did Mid Pond, we did Freedom Factory,
and then we did
Clutch
Emerald
Kickers.
Clutch Kickers. Oh yeah,
Okay,
six
so
tracks.
that's six, okay.
That's a lot of tracks.
So we went from Mid Pond to Freedom Factory. That was another long drive, but great to be in Florida and another new track for me. It was the first bank track I did, which was really exciting. I cranked the boost all the way up on my car and melted tires in 2 laps, but it was a great time. Then we did the team tandem comp, which was cool. And then from there we went to Emerald Coast, Clutch Kickers track, and that was awesome because I'd never been there either. So it was all new stuff for me on Drift Week 2. Drift Week 3, I feel like I kind of got the car figured out and all the programming figured out for the whole setup, like what to bring, what not to bring. I swapped my seat out for a comfortable seat. I had a better, I had like noise canceling headphones at this point.
Is this Drift Week 3?
Drift Week 3, yeah. And then we went up to Pacific Northwest, and that was the most beautiful roads I had ever driven. So I really enjoyed that. And I got to hang with like Matt Field and Chelsea most of the time, so I was now getting into like the
cool kid
upper
club.
echelon, yeah, like the best drivers on the trip, which was great. We were doing ignorant stuff on the streets, which was super fun. I topped out my car and somehow didn't
How
crash.
fast was that?
Can I say?
Yeah.
It's 172. Yeah.
Galen was claiming he got over 180, but
He went 181.
Really?
And he did it right in front of me, so I was mad about it, because I had like the top speed award until that point, and we were
glad
going
we
about.
got rid of this award.
Yeah, I know. We were going 160,
240
165, yeah. And
On GPS or how?
yeah, GPS, and
What?
we double checked it with our gears. So like I topped my car out, like 5th gear limiter. I have it on video, and when you type in a 285 with R154 with a 408 rear end, it tells you 172.
That's crazy.
So yeah, like it
That's a bad idea.
was terrible.
I'm glad we got rid of that challenge.
Yeah, yeah. I only had to do it once, and I mean, now that I've done it, I'm not going anywhere near that fast. Like 150 is the top that I need to go.
150 is pretty fast.
Still pretty fast, yeah. So yeah, and then Drift Week 4, still in my S14. That one was back to California, right? We had a great time there. That was the first time I drove at Horse Thief. Super fun track. We had an amazing time there. And then we got to go back to Adams. We got to do some of our favorites, Muscleman, and had a great time there. Now I'm just like in the groove, but that's when I started to have a lot of S14 problems. I think I broke 6 axles on that trip. I had lots of power steering problems. I had lots of knuckle and geometry problems. I had all kinds of issues that were just a nightmare. It was miserable working on my car and managing a team to like, do media and stuff. So it was kind of like one of those things where you bit off more than you could chew. And I was just like, this is terrible. This is ruining Drift Week for me. So then Drift Week 5 was up in New York area on East Coast, and my car needs
Did
a
you take
motor.
your Z or the
No, that's when I drove Max's
Okay.
Corvette.
Oh, that's right. You
Yeah,
cheated.
I cheated, yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
I
why I couldn't remember what car you took on 5.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't take
I
a
didn't
car.
take one. Yeah. So I just went up there, and that was back to like amazing. Just having a good time. The car didn't really break, but a couple of small things which we were able to fix. Max is super cool dude. We got along really well. The consumables were less for me because I didn't have to pay for transporting there and back with all that trailer fuel cost, and the tires. I was just buying tires that I would use. And Max was handling like the oil changes, for example. I would put fuel in the car when I drove. He would put fuel in when he drove. We would split driving on the street.
Wow, you paid for your own fuel. What a nice guy.
My own fuel and tires, my own consumables. And if I broke something, I paid for that or fixed it, which was rare. But yeah, it was a great trip. We got to see a bunch of cool new tracks. I've been to E-Town, but I had not been to any of the other ones. We got to drift in the snow at Poconos. That was unbelievable. We're gonna have to come up with a montage of all these like memories.
Editor's not gonna do that.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen, but Sai's shaking his head. And I don't know, I had a fantastic time there, new tracks. That was when I got to do all those Drive Your Friends' Cars episodes, so that was really fun, even though they didn't all come out yet. We're still working on them. So you guys stay tuned. They'll eventually
People
come
love
out.
old content, but keep it going.
Yeah. And
Bitches love digging up old shit.
you're out, but you plunger. And now we're on Drift Week 6, which is home turf. I've been to almost all these tracks. You know, you and I have driven a bunch at Hallett. We've driven at all these other tracks here in Texas. The only one I hadn't gone to is Cam's, but I've gone to Medford, and it's a kind of a carbon copy, so
Feels a
close
lot
enough.
different though.
It does. Different feel. No elevation, no bank on the first corner, and a couple small changes on the infield. But overall, fun time. And now I'm in the Z. So the Z, at first I was like, this is gonna be slow. It's gonna be boring. It's gonna no one's gonna tandem with me. I'm gonna have to hang with the slow guys and be disappointed, basically, wishing I was in my S14. But it has been the most rock solid, most fun thing to drive. I can't believe how good it is. I haven't really broken anything, knock on wood. I had one wheel stud break because my buddy who said he tightened my wheels didn't. So that snapped off, super easy fix. I got that done in 10 minutes. I had a Heim joint fail after lots and lots of abuse on it on one of my control arms. I got that overnighted and swapped out, no problem. And then I've just been eating up front tires from driving so much. And I think my angle is a little funky. I do have a lot of Ackerman, and then it kind of pigeon toes a bit whenever it's at angle. So that plus soft front tires, plus when I did some backies at Speed Sports, it just chewed up the front tires. So, I mean, my only complaint is mowing through front tires. I've burned up, I guess, 5 front tires now because I had a spare that I swapped and it's gone. But overall, the car's not slow in drift. I'm having a great time. I'm very confident in all these tracks. As long as I don't get, if I get a little jump on the start, it's all good. I can tandem with everyone. I've tandem with Brandon. I've tandem with you. I know we drove at Hallett, which I was probably a little slow there, but other tracks,
I mean,
it
I
was
passed
good.
you.
Yeah, but you did that being a jerk.
Yeah, I know. We came, the first section is this way. And you come out of drift onto the straight, and I just passed him. As we were exiting drift,
Yeah.
you're just how fast was I? 10 car lengths down the straight?
I mean, yeah, you were gone. And I was running real wide and nice and out on the rumble strips, even in the dirt a little bit, just trying to give you all the room.
I can't not be full throttle there. You know that's
Yeah,
there.
oh yeah.
You can't not be full throttle.
sure, for
so
sure.
if you get left 10 car lengths when I'm behind you,
that's that.
That's that, man.
Well, if I had come out of drift earlier and just motored down the
it was
straight,
gonna get past.
it would have been. You could have still passed me, but not as bad.
yeah.
This was
You were in the dirt though, to be fair.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
If
you
I-
were in the dirt.
If I had come out and
So-
gripped up and gone.
I'm doing counting like the Germans.
Yeah.
Everybody's 350Zs are boring. And you drive it S14, little pro spec, pro-am, whatever car.
Yeah.
With cut off front, cut off rear, tube everything.
2J
285s,
285s.
2JZ, E85 normally, all this stuff. Is the 350Z boring compared to that? Or
It
is
is
it good?
not boring at all. I've had so much fun. I've driven way more, so I like that a lot. It's been extremely reliable. It handles really well. The setup I've got is fantastic. It's comfortable, more comfortable. It's not the greatest on the street, I'll be honest. I do have air conditioning, so I really like that, and heat. But it has all solid bushings. I went in and replaced everything with SPL parts, solid everything. So
Regret now.
now I'm dang, this is kind of ruined for Drift Week. It's so loud and tinny inside, but if I wear my AirPods or noise earplugs, it's fine.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, yeah. And it's a lot more comfortable for sure. The visibility is less, and surprisingly, it has less cargo room than my S14. Even though,
Really?
yeah, it's the craziest thing.
If you guys never saw his YouTube content or stuff, or maybe mine, he would literally strap diffs to his bash
Yeah.
bar in the back, and he would take the trunk off, and there'd be a line of diffs
Yep.
in the
And
back.
axles.
And axles and stuff.
Yeah.
You'd just be like, what in the world? If these fall off in traffic, you're gonna kill a family
Oh yeah,
in
it's
a minivan.
bad. They were strapped really well though.
Yeah, but the car's not built well.
It was good.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
whatever.
lose anything.
And,
But yeah, there's less cargo room in the stupid Z because of that crossbar thing, and I kept all the interior.
So,
I
I didn't ask you for a history lesson, but I just let you roll because I like really long videos and letting people hear stuff. But what I originally asked is what was your favorite?
Okay.
Why? And what changed and things like that, and the same thing about the car. So what was your favorite drift week,
Okay.
do you think?
This is my favorite Drift Week,
Really?
officially, yeah.
I wish this would have been at the end or the beginning.
Yeah.
Editor, put that at the beginning.
This is my favorite drift week.
Yeah.
I've had
Drift week 6. He's
drift
done them
week
all.
6. I've done them all. I've got that
I think
claim to
Wow
my
said
belt.
that too. I think he said this is my favorite.
Yeah, this is my favorite. I think for 3 reasons. My car is reliable. I'm not wrenching, so I'm enjoying it. The tandem has been fantastic. Me and Ben are like glued to doors the whole time. I've driven with the Drift Games guys. I got to drive with James Dean a little bit. I've driven with a bunch of drivers that are confident. The tracks are good. They're good for tandem. And then the third thing I think is like the after track day shenanigans have just been really fun.
They've been outrageous this time.
We got to do great group activities. We've got to do some really
bonding group activities.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like our squad, we all have radios, and we're like pretending that we're in Top Gun, and we're like on the radio, like.
You're picking up girls at the bar yesterday.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, it was just so fun to like. We're doing passing maneuvers. We're driving like in sequence. We're doing formations. All this stuff. It's like the funniest.
Ben looks like he's having the time of his life.
Yeah, exactly. And we're both just screaming Drift Week at the top of our lungs everywhere we go. It's like the funnest thing we've ever done.
So Ben got so I had 4 rental cars and I bought a backup.
Yep.
The 4 rental cars are all doing great. The backup, well, it's kind of complicated, but the backup basically blew up the first day of Drift Week, or before it, and then Mark swapped the engine during Drift Week, and all the other cars were great, and we didn't need the backup, so I loaned it to Ben, just like as a friendship thing.
Yep.
And it looks like he's driving that better than the freaking Mustang.
He really is.
Do you think it's better than the Mustang?
It's not better than the Mustang, but he's driving it better than the Mustang. The Mustang, he was still cautious, I think.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a nice brand new car. He doesn't
And
want
he's
to wreck
not being
it.
cautious in my car?
Well,
You're like, no.
Not as much. I think he can afford to fix that one way easier. You know, it's not wrapped, so he doesn't care about the body
It was
at all.
painted like 2 weeks ago.
The blue one?
Yeah, it's a brand new paint job.
Really?
Yeah, he's already ruined it.
It was.
Yeah, it was new.
But yeah, this has just been awesome. So I think Drift Week 3, best scenery, best roads. Beautiful.
Yeah, up on the Pacific Northwest.
And best weather. Drift Week 1 was the most special, the most.
Because you felt special being on something so.
Yeah, so exclusive. So new and fresh. We'd never done it. And cruising my car from Texas to California and back. No trailer, no support, nothing.
You drove it back?
I drove it back.
Oh my God.
Oh wait, no, we didn't. We put it on Van Schellenbeck's trailer.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna say
right.
there's no way.
I forgot, 'cause-
There's over your dead body when you've driven that back.
No, you're right. I forgot. And I broke it. Remember the.
Mark drove my Drift Week car back and forth like willingly and happily.
Jeez, that's no. But anyway, yeah, just that was most special, most surreal, and Drift Week 3, best scenery. I really loved drifting in the snow at Poconos on Drift Week 5. That was
I keep saying that, and Wout's like, that's like every Drift Week, or every day in Europe, it's great. Or no, it's terrible. He's like, we like dry tracks. I'm like, y'all are on crack. This is great.
It was dry. It had so much grip.
I know, it had 80% of the grip
Yeah,
at least.
at least.
Whatever. It made no sense.
I felt like some corners had more grip somehow. It was nuts. And literally all day long, driving, same pair of tires, just burning fuel.
So for Drift Week 7, do you think you're going to drive the Z or the S14?
Now that I'm here,
Z.
I really think Z, honestly.
Really?
Like, I really do. It's so good, and if we're gonna, depending on what tracks we go to, like the car is dialed, it's not slow.
It's just an HRZ, by the way. It's not anything crazy.
Yeah, like it's got all the bolt-ons, it's got some nice suspension and a good tune, and it's just solid. It's just really solid. And I've had, like I said, knock on wood, no problems at all. And that alone is worth the Drift Week experience. And then it's really well matched with a lot of the cars here. My tire wear is better. Like, I can't complain.
What's the building cost of that Z compared to your S14, do you think? Not the overall build of your S14 over decades, but like just what would it cost to build versus that Z?
So to build my Z from scratch today would be about 20K.
Yeah.
And to build my S14 would probably be closer to 80. So like 1/4.
Okay. But you're enjoying it that much.
I really
And it's
am.
more durable too, probably.
It's so much more durable. It handles fantastic. I'm grip driving no problem. I can do camera carring. It's got heat and
You could
AC,
almost,
like Jesus.
if you got rid of some of the noise and vibration, you could almost drive that. Because remember, Mesker used to drive his car down for the Drift Weeks, and you're just like,
dude,
you drove that here?
I'm
He's
honestly,
like, and his was caged.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mine has a back half, like a harness bar and stuff, but not the same. I have a stock rear or passenger seat. I don't know. I'm almost thinking that like maybe I swap subframes to a non-solid mounted one, and then might be good. That might be the only thing I changed for Drift Week 7. But I'm.
You know, you say Sebin now.
Zeb?
7,
That's
okay.
the only way to say it.
That's crazy. So 6 is your favorite.
6 is my favorite.
The Z is a better drift car than your...
On Drift Week, yeah.
On
it's
Drift
not a
Week.
better comp car. You know,
No,
my
I know,
S14's
but it's a better drift week car.
it's a better Drift Week
The
car.
Z is.
Even with
you
all
don't
the stuff.
regret it either. Like
No.
it's actually a better car.
It's actually better. Like,
You actually turn more laps and you get more seat time,
Yep.
and you don't have to be as careful with
I'm
it.
smiling more. That's the big part. Like, I'm
He
enjoying
was
it.
always miserable in drift week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
He
always
was
come
miserable. He
around-
was always laughing. You're just like,
Yeah, just like,
God.
oh, okay, here we go.
We're
But
doing this.
No, it's literally like, this has been an actual vacation for me. That's why I came up to you earlier and gave you a hug. I was like, this is what I needed, and this is so nice. So thank you.
It's what drifting is supposed to be. So real quickly about Drift Week 6 in your home region, you know all of them have been out of region, and you know all the new tracks. I'm very surprised that you're enjoying number 6 so
Yeah.
much because it's your home tracks.
Yep. I thought the
What's
same
it
at
like
first.
drifting all your home tracks and doing a drift week and then it being your favorite? That makes no sense.
Yeah, it's weird. It's because these aren't even like the world's best tracks or even the country's best tracks, but you know, I like being able to go out there and on my first lap, doors. Not thinking about anything, not like what's my entry speed, where do I initiate, blah, blah, blah. It's all just back, you know, second nature, no thinking involved, just attack the guy in front of me or give a great lead without like worrying about anything. And I know like, all the little parts of like how to make the float to the outside, how to drive the right line, whatever. And so that has been great because my confidence is already boom, way up at the top. And then I'm not having to like, you know, stress about stuff. And then just, all I'm doing is mounting tires and putting fuel in my car.
How many
It's
laps do you think
great.
you've done?
Oh man, 100 per track day, probably.
You think that many?
I think at least.
You don't think you're over exaggerating there?
Okay, so maybe on the low end, 60. Like at Hallett, I probably did 60 laps. And then at Cams, I probably did 50 a day, so 100. And then today, man, I probably did at least 50 laps today. I could probably go count them because I filmed every one. But like, we're moving. And you know what's cool here, we've never done before, is we're hot lapping the Pro-Am course. So I'm in third, grip driving that part that we usually start on as it's from a dead stop. And I'm shifting to fourth essentially like at the exit where I would be shifting to second. So we are booking it down that entry and it's working for the Z way better. And like, it spreads out the tandem a little bit on the initiation, but I just think overall, like, just flying that fast, it's more exciting, more smoke. It is wearing the tires a little faster, but it's totally worth it. 100% worth it.
And what was I going to ask?
Fuel is a little bit less expensive than it was on Drift Week 5, which is nice.
Oh, I was going to ask tires. How many tires have you used?
Yeah, I burned up, I think I'm at 18 right now, so.
So you're pretty damn good tire wear still.
Good tire wear, yeah, really good. I burned 36 on Drift Week 1. It was my S14, which was a lot.
But then you went down.
But then I went down.
You were careful on the rest.
Well, no, I was just broken.
Oh, it was Sandia probably killed a bunch
No,
of them.
not too bad. It was.
What killed him?
Just overall, just lots of laps and lots of
On Drift Week 1?
on Drift Week 1. Drift Week 2, I burned 30 or 32 because Freedom Factory.
I remember the
murdered.
last one, we burned like 14 and 18 or
Yeah, I
something.
did 18 on the last.
Oh,
on
maybe
Drift
I
Week.
burned 14 on Drift Week.
Drift Week 3, I did 18 because it was good tire wear and I was broken a lot. And then Drift Week 4, I did I think another 18, maybe 20 with fronts. And then Drift Week 5, I did at least 20, but they were maxes.
So it's just you, me, and Brandon now. Is that it?
Yeah.
That have
it.
done all the drift weeks.
Yep.
And I think
And
you and
Mark.
Brandon are the only ones. Oh, and Mark and Cy.
Yeah.
But you and Brandon are the only ones that, whatchamacallit, have actually driven them. Like, I obviously was management.
Yeah, for sure.
Doing stuff. So, like, I'm on the trip and everything, but,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to have to be on all the trips.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess I'd win.
You're required.
But you guys are going to do that. Brandon has swapped a lot of cars. You have only swapped 2 cars. No, you've swapped 3 cars.
So I used S14 for 4 of them, the Corvette, Max's Corvette, and then my Z.
And then he used like 19 JZs on number whatever. What are you going to do for number 7
RIP.
now? Just 350Z, same thing, have fun, play with the boys.
I'll refine the
encourage
Z a
them.
little bit more. It's got a couple upgrades it could take and a couple changes, and then, yeah, tires and fuel, rock and roll.
Okay, and who's in your group of boys? The little Top Gun boys?
It's me, Ben Hobson, Elliot Brightslide, Max Kimlin, and Luke joined us for a little bit of it, And Joe has joined us for a little bit of it. I've been enjoying getting to know Joe. I've been coaching him as much as I can, and like I take him for passenger lap in the morning of every track.
Is he improving fast?
Tremendously.
He's only been drifting 3 months.
Dude,
It's so dumb.
so today he was being hard on himself because we're out there doing 4th gear, 4-car tandems, just like balls this big, moving. And he was like, yeah, I felt like kind of a pussy because I was back there, a ways. And I'm like, I grabbed him, I'm like, dude, you've been drifting 4 months and you're tandeming in 4th gear with
all of us have been doing this for like 20 years.
I'm like, it took me years to do a crappy tandem where I'm bust links back. I'm like, you're doing just fine. Just keep at it,
How was the James Dean stuff?
It was great. I mean, I've only driven with him for basically 3 laps. He chased me for 2, he led for 1 that was kind of garbage because he like gripped around the corner and I took off from a straight, still. And so I didn't catch him basically at all. It was like I wouldn't hardly call it tandem. I was behind him, but like not like I wanted to be, And then we swapped and then he jumped behind me and then we had a proper takeoff. And I mean, he was flawless. He drove
on your door.
On me.
I saw it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I looked over and I see him and I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. Like, get it, foot down. And I felt him bump me a bunch of times and I'm like,
my door.
Well, I'm just thinking like the side of the car is gonna be wrecked, And I get out and I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's only 1 mark right up here and it's like a perfect kiss, like just rubber, no dent, And I'm like, sick. That's like a professional. It's funny because you can see your mark and it's a good dent. And so it's like amateur, professional.
I was being a jerk.
Yeah, you were. You were like, my door. I have an extra door.
Yeah.
But then you go look at James's car.
I told Fielding I was going to go do it, and the bad thing is I meant to get the other side, and I missed the opportunity, and you're just like, well, got to get in there.
Jeez.
I got 1 lap to make this work.
Yeah. So then I went back and looked at James's car.
There's these two, we don't worry.
And it's got like giant donut wheels on the back from him hitting my back tire with the side of his car. That's what was hitting me. So he had a little more angle than me, like bumping up against, like gah, gah, gah. And you see white wheel and tire and red, just like blah, blah. And Zach was like, aw, like it feels all bad. And there's red paint on his front wheels and everything. It was mint. I loved it.
Man.
I thought it was sick. So I got photos of that.
We're not done with Drift Week. We still have more days.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Drift Week is
crazy.
the
We're going
best.
into the Lone Star Drift portion of it.
Yep.
Isn't it crazy we're combining the Lone Star Drift stuff with it?
Yeah, remember we came up with this idea last time. You were like, how do I get it more exciting? And I was
Did we?
like, throw in the Lone Stars at
I
the
don't
mix.
even remember how all these ideas happen. They just
Yeah.
like slowly do. I'm already in my brain in Drift Week 7 thinking about everything. I've been in Drift Week 7 for months.
Yeah.
And you're just like, true.
No, we came up with this like over dinner one day, and you were telling me James Dean's coming. You're like, it's a secret. Don't say anything, but how do we get people excited? And I was like, we have to tell everyone that they can battle James Dean at Lone Star Drift Round 6.
He's not going to battle him.
I know, but whatever.
They don't know that.
They don't know that. Just the fact that he's there and they
Yeah.
could drive with him is like, so everyone's
It's
hyped.
all mind blowing. I mean, he'll jump in with some people, but there's a lot of people to jump in with.
I think you should force him to compete.
No, you can't make them compete because
Why
if
not?
they lose, that looks bad. They're world-class drivers,
yeah, but-
champion everything. You can't have. Luke was going to do it, but Luke doesn't care.
Yeah.
I could ask James, but I'm pretty sure because I talked to Matt Powers and lots of people.
I remember that
It's
one.
actually very strange that Chelsea actually competes with all of us and has fun.
Really?
It's very, very, very rare. If you think about it, no other professional driver does that. Chelsea's just down to do anything. So I think we get just like a
We
little
get
mixed
jaded.
up because we're used to Chelsea so much.
I see.
Chelsea will go anywhere and do anything. He doesn't care.
I never thought about it like that, but I feel like, I don't know, James doesn't seem like he's got a big ego, and if someone did get
No,
it,
but it's different.
yeah.
I mean, like I was trying to set up some battles with him. I won't say who about Luke doing it or whatever, but the guys weren't really down.
Really? I'm down to battle him. Even if he clobbers me, I'll be like, hell yeah.
Well, I mean,
got
he's going to
beat
clobber you.
by
You
James
saw it
Dean.
in the other lap.
Yeah.
There's
Well, if we had a
clobbering time.
proper takeoff, I could put up a better fight anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think that some of those guys, if they're going to battle and they're going to do all those things, they want to be on point in their car at the best time possible with a crowd, with like a promotion behind it, just like a boxer.
I hear
Mike
you.
Tyson doesn't want to fight Evander Holyfield like in a back alley with no one watching and no one paying.
Yeah, true.
They need to get paid. They need to have sponsors doing it. That's totally fair. Like they've built up themselves and everything, and that's good. You don't like if you're Mike Tyson, you don't want to fight some guy at the gas station.
Yeah.
Have you beat him? Mike Tyson beat up some dude at the gas station. If you lose, Mike Tyson you got beat up by a
some
guy
dude
at the
at the-
gas station. There you go.
All right, well.
So if
I
you
guess
think
we'll
about
see
it
how
that way, it
goes.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does.
All right. Well, I think it's time to go load up and everything.
Yeah,
I think this is our last interview for the day.
Yep.
We've had a bunch in this classroom. I appreciate this classroom a lot.
Yep.
Thank you very much for driving and everything.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
I see it in you getting better and better and more aggressive and like everything.
I'm getting closer to where, because I've had a problem where I couldn't drive at like 9.5 or 9.9.
Yeah.
I've always been able to drive 8.5 or 11.
You see me, I'm always at 8.
Yeah, and I've not been able to like inch up to that perfect without going over. So I'm working on that, and I'm getting better.
Funny thing, I was tanning with James Dean at HPA, and then like James Dean jumped in my car and everything. And I was talking to Luke Fink, because then Luke Fink was riding, or James Dean was riding with Luke Fink, and we were tandeming, and like he's pointing, and I was like, guys, because Luke Fink's like, come on. I was like, I pulled up Luke Fink, and I was like, give me like 20 seconds. Like I was like, you don't want me driving at 10 tenths.
Yeah.
I was like, you want me driving lower? Like I'm not like you guys. Like, give me a second, because like I'm kind of all in,
right.
and like I'm up on their doors, like,
for sure,
in it, like 100%. And Sarah was in the car, and she's like, "This is crazy." And I'm like, yeah, don't get me excited. I'm like, right now I'm at like 9, and you don't want me at 10 because we're gonna crash if like we're at 10. So I was gonna say I was also doing the same thing with like all the, because you get excited. And I've been watching Ben. Ben's at like 10.
Yeah.
Ben is like turned up. Ben's about to total that car.
He's killing it.
Yeah. Ben's
not with me. We're driving literally perfect together. Like,
no, I know he is, but I'm saying I've never seen Ben drive this well.
Oh, okay. I guess
Ben
not.
Hobson.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I guess not. I mean, in FD, it's such a totally different thing, you know. But like, even with the Mustang on the first couple days, he was doing really good.
He was doing really well,
but this is
but also for a Mustang. Like on the Z, he's just like, like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah, we're both just
That's
perfectly
ridiculous.
timed. Like I can read his transitions.
The bumper has a KBD bumper on it,
Yeah.
and he was transitioning so closely, he's rubbing all the paint off the KBD bumper, and he snagged it a little bit and cut the bumper, which is like really hard to do on those things.
Sure.
It's freaking crazy.
It's awesome.
All right, thanks KBD for like making sure Ben didn't destroy the car.
Yeah.
If it was a normal bumper or like some piece of fiberglass, it would have been toast.
Dude, I have so much footage of my KBD getting
just like folding out of the way.
Obliterated. A Hallett, I went off at like 100 and stayed in the gas. And the rear bumper's just doing all this, and I pop back on, no damage.
That's
completely
amazing.
Perfect. So
Rubber pieces.
We need to get
Rubber
that
baby
car
ducky.
a full KBD rear bumper. So Irving, if you're watching this, hook the
he's
man's
got
up.
it. He's got it.
He's gonna
We're
hook you
good.
up. All right,
I'm
good.
sure. He was supposed to be at Speed Sports.
Yeah, he told me he was coming.
But then he didn't show up.
What the heck?
Yeah, I know. He needs to see us put this shit to the test.
I told him, I was like, I don't care how many people I have in line for a ride along. If you show up, you're jumping in right away. Like I'm putting you in, and I want you to throw gang signs, and we're going.
All right. Thank you so much. Boom.
Thank you. Thank
That
you
was
for
terrible.
everything.